Welcome to YouTube. Today we're trying out every single instant ramen from Korea. As you can see here, we have a bunch of instant noodles, or in Korean, ramyeon, or ramyeon. I don't know, I'm sorry. I don't really speak Korean despite having gone to school there for a little bit. And no, I am not a Koreaboo, and that is not the reason I studied in Korea. Oh, and I should also mention that I have a Milky's. This is my favorite Korean drink other than soju, of course, and I'll be using it to wash down the noodles. Anyways, let's get started. First up, we're gonna try the Carbonara buldak. These buldak noodles are spicy chicken noodles, and they're kind of like infamous for being super spicy. I'm hoping that this being carbonara though means it will be a little less spicy as the cheese will maybe cut through the spice. I think that makes sense, right? The cheese cutting through the spice or something. Only one way to find out. Well, I think I was right. These are not that spicy, especially compared to the normal buldak noodles, which we do actually have coming up later. As far as taste goes though, these carbonara noodles were pretty okay. I did not taste much carbonara though. The spicy red buldak sauce just really powered through. And though I do like the spicy sauce, I feel like this was just a bit disappointing. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Next up, we're gonna try the samyang. Samyang, I think, is one of the more popular instant noodles in South Korea. And you can kind of tell because on the packaging it says it started in 1963. And that was like 100 years ago, so you know it's gonna be good. Let's give it a taste. I'm not gonna finish all the ramen broth today because I don't want a sodium overload and my heart to die. Nonetheless, I'll still give it a sip. I love samyang. It's a bit spicy, very savory, and just overall a really good instant noodle. So I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. And next up, we got this Jajang Rapoke. Jajang is a type of black bean sauce most commonly known in jajangmyeon, which is actually one of my favorite noodle dishes of all time. And Rapoke is a play on words, ramen and tteokbokki. Ramen, of course, is the noodle dish, and tteokbokki is a rice dish. So this is a Jajang Rapoke. Let's give it a taste. Yum. I actually like this one a lot. That jajang black bean sauce actually has a lot of grilled onions in it, and you can really taste it in here. And I love grilled onions, so I enjoyed that. The noodles and rice cake, however, were kind of bad, so I'm gonna have to give this Jajang Rapoke a 7 out of 10. Next up, we got kimchi rapoke. This is the same sort of thing going on with the ramen tteokbokki fusion, except this one has kimchi. Let's give it a taste. So again, the noodles and the rice cakes were pretty underwhelming, but the kimchi flavor was actually really tasty, I will say that. I'll give this kimchi rapoke a 6 out of 10. Time for a milky break. Yum. Next up, we have olive ganjajang. Next up, we have olive ganjajang. As you can probably tell, that was quite hard for me to pronounce. Nonetheless, it looks and smells really good. This one was actually pretty expensive for instant noodles at around $4, but like I said, it looks pretty good. This, I'm pretty sure, is another variant on jajang noodles, so those black bean noodles I mentioned before, and I'm excited to see how it tastes. Honestly, it smelled better than it tasted. I don't know what it is, but there's just like a funky flavor that I can't quite put my nose on. And I'm pretty sure that's coming from the olive oil, which is weird because I'm Italian as fuck. I'll have to give this one a 3 out of 10. Next up, we have kokomen. I've never seen or heard of this before today, so I am excited to try it for the first time. I'm smelling a lot of jalapeno, but I don't see any jalapeno. So let's see if it tastes like jalapeno. I don't know where this stuff has been all my life, but I'm glad I found it. I don't know why it tastes like jalapeno to me because it doesn't say jalapeno anywhere, but I swear it's in there somehow. The broth itself was very good, a bit spicy, which I like. The noodles were nothing special, but were still good. I'll have to give this one a 7 out of 10. Next up, we have Jin ramen. Now, if we're talking about popular ramyeons from South Korea, this might be in the top 3. I can't really think of a more iconic ramyeon than Jin ramen. Maybe Shin or Buldak, but this is definitely up there. So let's see if there's a reason for that, shall we? Oh yeah, I don't know what to say. This is nearly perfect. Spicy, savory, flavorful. It honestly has it all. That being said though, it's definitely lacking in toppings. Like that little dried vegetable packet could definitely be bigger, and the noodles themselves were a bit chewy. Even with all that though, I gotta give this Jin ramen a 9 out of 10. Next up, we have tempura udon. Now, I know what you're thinking. Tempura and udon are not Korean, they are Japanese, but this is a Korean brand that I found at a Korean grocery market, so I'm just gonna go ahead and try it. Now, I've never had instant tempura before, and this one looks pretty funky to me, but it smells really good. I can tell there's lots of umami there. Let's give it a taste. Wow, not bad at all. It was actually super flavorful and very smoky. The udon noodles themselves were pretty good, and so was the broth. I do have to say it though, the instant tempura was really bad. So overall, I have to give this a 7 out of 10. Next up, we have this teriyaki udon. Again, the same thing, teriyaki and udon are Japanese, but this is a Korean company from a Korean grocery store, so I don't know. Maybe it was dumb of me, but whatever. Let's give it a taste. Alright, so my first bite was actually really good. But then I kept eating it and started to remember that I really don't like teriyaki that much. So the magic kind of faded away, and now I'll give it a 4 out of 10. Next up is noguri. This is a spicy seafood flavor ramyeon. It's super popular in South Korea and is one of my favorites. Let's give it a taste. Honestly, I don't know how it could get any better. It's got the perfect amount of spice, the perfect amount of like seafoody flavor, and the noodles are nice and chewy. I really have nothing bad to say about this one. I'll give it a 10 out of 10. We're almost finished, but we have 2 more to go, so next up is Shin Ramyeon. I'm not 100% sure, but this might be the most popular instant noodle from South Korea, and for good reason because this stuff is just so good. Let's give it a taste. Yep. That's perfect. 11 out of 10. Need I say more? Maybe I should, but I'm starting to feel really sick from this ramen, so let's move on. Last but not least, we have buldak stew original flavor. This is just the classic spicy chicken flavor buldak, and the stew means there's just a bit more liquid in it than normal. Let's give it a taste. That is pretty spicy, not gonna lie. Whew. The flavor of it was very buldak, which I'm not a huge fan of, so I do have a bit of a bias against it. I'm gonna have to give this one a 4 out of 10. Oh, I need some milky. And just like that, we're done. We tried every single instant noodle from South Korea that I could find, and they were all honestly pretty good. I gotta hand it to the noguri and Shin ramen. Those are just so good, I don't think I'll ever get tired of them. But yeah, thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, but until next time, ciao.